This is the Gen X Fit Podcast with Cliff Saunders.
Well, we know how warming up is important when you go to work out, especially when you get older. But what about after you're working out? What about recovery after working out? What should you do? How long should you do it? It's a touchy subject. And joining us right now to help out with that is Dr. Jason West of the West Clinic. Welcome to Gen X Fit. Dr. West, how are you?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
All right. So tell me, first of all, because when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was ignorant like the rest of us in our 20s and 30s. I don't need to stretch before. I don't need to stretch after. When I got into my 40s, I figured out finally that I needed to stretch before. But why afterwards?
Well, I think it's really important for us to remember that the difference between a 20-year-old and a 40-year-old really is the ability to utilize oxygen. And when you're able to utilize oxygen more efficiently, what happens is you're able to get rid of the acid buildup that you're going to get from working out. And at a biochemistry level, if oxygen is available, what happens is your body's byproducts break down to carbon dioxide and water. If it's not available, it breaks down into lactic acid and pyruvate. So what does that mean? It means if you can keep your oxygen levels up, what happens is you're going to recover way, way quicker. And one of the ways to do that is to help break down that acid buildup in your muscles is to stretch, to get some movement into those muscles. And then the next thing that I would say right on top of that is have a cool down period, but then also you need to make sure you have replacement fluids and you need to have healthy vitamins and minerals in your system. It'll really help to get rid of that soreness.
We all hear about fueling up for a workout, especially if you're a runner. You also need to fuel yourself after a workout. That is part of the recovery process.
No question. I mean, it's just as important as what you're doing before as what you're doing after. So stretching, a cool down period, replacement fluids, minerals, making sure that we have healthy and live foods in our system after we work out are really going to help you so that you don't have that lag or that down period or the soreness that can happen after hitting the gym. Yeah,
and by the way, it's not like after running a marathon where you can go and eat a pizza and be fine. You got to do it, obviously, sensibly. The bottom line is, I've always heard there's a certain amount of period of time for stretching afterwards and cooling down. Is that not necessarily just a case of, okay, for each person it's different? So while it may take me 10 minutes to get all stretched out both before and after, it might take somebody else less time or more time.
We're as different on the outside as we are on the inside, and I think that is totally accurate. Sometimes people are just going to say, hey, I need 5 minutes to cool down. Other people are going to say, I need a half hour. And it's just really knowing your body and knowing what the good thing is for you. And so slotting that time, I think mentally it's just as important as hitting the gym at the time period that you want to do it every day, making sure that you have the same, hey, I'm going to cool down at this time period. And I like it, a 10 to 15-minute cool down period. I think that's a healthy time slot.
Dr. Jason West of the West Clinic joining us on Gen X Fit, talking about how to properly cool down and recover from your workout. Besides stretching, I have invested in a foam roller in years past, and not every gym has one, but if you can get one at home, obviously that would be something you would highly recommend.
No question. I mean, I think that's such a healthy, easy thing to do is to just roll out the muscles after the exercise, and I just think it's a really good thing to do.
What about sports massage? Because again, I'm a big believer in that. My running coach also doubles as my sports massage therapist. It's not always cheap, which is why a lot of people go for the foam roller, but deep massage like that does help tremendously. It does feel like a workout, though.
No question. And when someone has that, especially when they're really good and they know what they're doing, the intention of putting the working those things out, reducing stress, improving circulation, it helps with pain, it helps eliminate toxins, improve flexibility. I mean, the list goes on and on. and it is expensive, but it's one of those cases you get what you pay for.
Now, you're a chiropractor by trade. I have been to more than my share of chiropractors over the years. Is it a good idea to get with a chiropractor as a preventive sort of thing as opposed to reacting to getting hurt or reacting to something that happens to you?
Well, I think it is, and we know that the professional athletes believe that because nearly every sports team that I can think of has a traveling, chiropractic physician, and you see, Tiger Woods has his own chiropractor, and a lot of the professional golfers are getting adjusted before and after, and the benefits, of helping to improve range of motion, flexibility, helping you to breathe better, helping to lower blood pressure and increase, energy. That's the experience that we get when we're doing things from a preventative standpoint.
And, I think it's a misnomer, or the people realize when they hear chiropractor, oh, somebody's just cracking my neck. No, that's not the case, is it? You're working on many other parts of the body as well.
Well, I tell people you need a biochemical adjustment where we get everything lined up through your neck and through your spine. You need a nutritional adjustment so that we're making sure that we have enough vitamin C and magnesium and zinc and potassium. And then we like to do a lot of hormone assessments where we're looking to see, hey, is everything balanced out for your testosterone, your DHEA, your estrogen, progesterone? And when everything is in balance and harmony, the body has an amazing ability to function at a high level.
Dr. Jason West, our guest here on Gen X Fit, the West Clinic, talking about recovering from your workout and what you can do to help keep yourself in top shape, at least injury-free. I've heard a lot about cryotherapy. I've never tried it. I'm kind of afraid of the cold after living here in Texas for 8 years now, to tell you the truth. Number one, I know it's expensive, but does it work?
Well, again, I think that there's not one thing that fits every single person, but what I've seen on, the cryotherapy, and I just break that down into cold therapy. What it does is it can create a pumping mechanism for your body. So you heat up and then the muscles vasodilate, then you do the cryotherapy, the blood supply to the muscles will vasoconstrict. And so you see benefits like, pain relief, muscle healing, reducing inflammation, reducing anxiety and depression because it has a really nice effect on your neurotransmitters, improving skin conditions. I mean, the list goes on and on for cryotherapy, and you can go into one of those specific chambers, but you can also create, your home ice bathing, and if ice is too cold, then you can use, basically a cold pack. But we've used this for ages. I mean, going back centuries of using hot and cold contrast therapy.
Yeah, and there is a way to do it. You would do the cold first, followed by the hot, or it depends. Some people do it the other way. And personally, as a runner with Osgood-Schlatter's that I never grew out of, I had it as a kid, and it just stayed with me the entire way. I do the home version of cryotherapy, not in an ice bath because I'm a little afraid of that, but certainly the ice pack on the knee definitely helps. What about cupping? It's relatively new over the last couple of years. You're seeing pro golfers, you're seeing some baseball players with these marks on their backs and arms or whatever it may be. It just seems kind of weirdish to me, I guess.
Well, it's a fascinating thing because cupping, so I have some background as a fellowship in the International Academy of Medical Acupuncture, and so what that means is I've gone over and I've studied different meridians and energy pathways, and this is one way to help the energy that either goes right on top of the skin. Sometimes they think it's a little bit higher. Sometimes they think it's under the skin. We talk about these energy pathways, and cupping, what it does is they think it improves overall health by removing energy blocks. Now, energy blocks are things that change the interference fields of the good and the bad energy that's going up and down your body, and cupping helps to improve that. And again, it's all about balance and harmony, and cupping is a good consideration. Yeah, it's a little bit different, but I've sure seen some really good outcomes with that on the cases that weren't responding for tendonitis, for bursitis, for chronic muscle pain, it's a good thing to consider.
Last question for you, and I got about 30 seconds left here. The bottom line is a lot of us don't like to stretch, and a lot of us don't like to do all those things that eventually will help us. Why are we so lax? Is it laziness? Are we just too crunched for time? What is it?
Well, I think you hit the right on the head. It's a time crunch. And it's kind of like the same thing why people don't eat enough breakfast or eat breakfast is because they'd rather sleep than eat. And a lot of times people are like, hey, you know what? I've got a 10-minute walk or I've got a 10-minute gym time or an hour, and I'm going to do it in 45 minutes. And so they're always trying to make up time when they're exercising, and you can't really make up that time you just have to stretch before. You have to have a cool down period after, a stretch after. It'll improve your oxygen flow. It'll reduce acid, and you'll be healthier.
He is Dr. Jason West of the West Clinic, and he's been talking with us about recovering from your workouts, which will help you to keep working out the way you want to work out. That is for darn sure. Dr. West, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for having me. Have a wonderful day.
Dr. Jason West, everybody. And remember, if stretching and warming up is important, stretching and cooling down is important. It's all about recovering, because once you recover, you can definitely do more the next day that you're at the gym. And without it, you might wind up laid up on the couch for a couple of weeks, which none of us trying to keep healthy and keep in shape wants to do.